Blessings. So, back with you here. Beautiful sunny day here in Scottish Highlands, and may drink a bit of this celery juice. Periodically, I'm doing a cleanse right now. Gotta keep the vessel nice and clean. And wanted to continue talking about the Archons. It's such an important topic. And, to just carry on where we left off. So, it is important for us to really look into these things because they've been kept hidden from us for an intentional reason for a very, very long time. And if we aren't aware that this adversary exists in our reality, then we are very vulnerable to being deceived. And recall that the Archons, these spiritual interdimensional entities, some have called them the demonic, it is through deception that they mainly negatively impact humanity through deception. Now, this is based on the Nag Hammadi material, ancient texts that apparently came out of the mystery schools. These may have been the only living texts we have of the pagan Europeans. And in a way, they were trying to warn us because they knew that this story, and in the Nag Hammadi there's also the story of the goddess Sophia, which I spoke to in the last part. The goddess Sophia, or as John Lam Lash likes to call her, Sophia, to denote that she's different than a human being. Give her that honor, being a divine name. When humanity was made, the Archons were not yet formed. This whole drama of dealing with these entities was not yet. So humanity is kind of like very naive. And this plays out very much in the hands of the Archons because they're very cunning, very intelligent, but their intelligence is very mechanistic. It's very much more of like a masculine intelligence, very, very much about calculation and the rational. And so, although the Gnostics were very clear that they were insane, they did not call them evil. And I find this quite interesting because a lot of spirituality and religion over the years, I believe that one of the main challenges is that it became crippled by this notion of being about polarity, about this polarized opposition between two forces, whether it be good, evil, black, white. Whereas if we look more to the ancient spiritual traditions, and I think in this moment of Taoism, because I used to practice Chinese medicine, and the symbol of the yin-yang, which is called the Taiji, the supreme ultimate symbol of nature, harkens to this more ancient view where you had opposites more complementary, and they weren't polarized. They were swirling in a spiral, and they had a bit of each other in them too. So there was this kind of fluidity in them. And I think that kind of symbol and that kind of thinking is what the Gnostics and the mystery schools were all about as well. And that's crucial to understanding how to deal with these challenges in our world today, because remember that the fight, the battle is in your soul. It's within you. And the soul is all of you. It's your emotions, your mind, your logic, but it's also connected to this more divine mind, this cosmic mind, this cosmic intelligence which we access through the portal of our presence, where we are aware, or as Ram Dass called, loving awareness. And this is our chief way to counteract these intrusions that happen from the Archons, because they invade us through our minds, through our egoic minds. And it is there that they can create all manner of shape-shifting, image-making ideas in our minds. And some of these ideas, the Gnostics said, were incorrect ideas. They were kind of like mind viruses. The Gnostics actually warned that religion itself became polluted with the mind virus of patriarchal religion, this idea of just a one male god, and this kind of polarized thinking. Because of course, if we start to think in this term that I am good and these Archons are bad, then I'm projecting everything into this external force that's victimizing me, that's controlling me, that's seeking to dominate me. Whereas what is actually occurring is the whole notion of shadow work, of cleaning up one's psyche. The psyche is the soul, remember. Psyche means soul. Psychology is actually the study and the art of the soul. This also speaks to the matrix of mind control that the Archons have been able to indoctrinate us with through our minds, and then using some of us who become possessed by the Archons to then operate in this third dimension and help orchestrate this more archontic world, not the divine world that Gaia, that Creator wanted for us. The world that we live in, and this is why in the Bible they say, this world is Satan's world. And it rings true in the Gnostic traditions as well. They say that this world has been captured by this Archon intelligence, and they have possessed humans for thousands of years through the mind, and then caused us to become distorted. So this is, very heavy stuff. But it's nothing to be afraid of. And this is a key element because, as Frank Herbert wrote in the Dune series, fear is the mind killer. And when we are connected to Source, when we are connected to Source Intelligence, to the cosmic mind, to God, to Goddess, to Creator, we are tapped into this perfection on the level of beingness. And that is what our soul is crafted from. And when we are tapped into that, the other amazing thing that happens is we get guidance. We are divinely guided. And we start to cultivate abilities, powers, they call them the siddhas in yoga, things like having incredible intuition, being able to live in synchronicity, in that flow state, becoming clairaudient, be able to be clairvoyant, seeing visions. This is a cultivation. It doesn't just happen overnight. The more we relate to this spiritual origin, this originator of us, the more we relate to those powers, the more they are bestowed on us. And those give us a huge leg up in this game, because it really is at the level of it. It's kind of as the Hindus and the Vedic sages of India would call it. It's a leela. It's a cosmic game. And this is the drama that we're in, that we're being infected, infested, and infiltrated by these interdimensional species. And what is crippling about our modern era is we have incarnated in a time where the Archons are truly attempting a kind of global, total dominion over humanity. And that is very obvious to see nowadays. You can see it in things like the World Economic Forum, the globalism that a lot of our nations are selling themselves out to, and these huge agendas to create this kind of techno-totalitarian state, or rather world state, where everyone is surveyed, everyone is microchipped. There's all these ways that technology, which in itself is not bad, but technology is being utilized to create this control mechanism. Because the Archons, they want to be like God. They want to be this supreme ruler over humanity. It is said, actually, in the Gnostic Nag Hammadi that one of the ways, if you ever encounter the Archons, which can happen in liminal spaces, meditation, or in astral traveling, and I have encountered Archons before, and the Gnostics were very clear that one of the qualities that you'll see about them, that you'll know that you're dealing with them, is they have a great hatred of humanity. And remember that hatred is the lack of love. And that also speaks to their redemption, because they can be redeemed. Just like a sinful human being who has missed the mark, who has been led astray in their life and is filled with patterns and self-destructive tendencies, can heal themselves and become a glorious expression of their essence. So too can the Archons. I had a friend who used to lucid dreams almost every evening, every night when he sleeps, and he says he's been taken to spaceships where there's galactic councils happening of all these different star beings, including humanity, and there are these reptilian Archons there, and some of them have literally changed sides. They've kind of awakened to the fact that this domination game, this predatory game of wanting to control and harm humanity, leads nowhere. It doesn't lead anywhere. That it's like they're starting to acknowledge their own addictions to negative states of being. They're starting to realize that they're also realizing there's a possibility for them to evolve, to be redeemed, to evolve into something beautiful and true and divine, much like we are naturally designed to be. And the jealousy, the envy, which is also the other characteristic that you can detect the Archons, is this envy. And it's very interesting because envy is something that a lot of humanity is dealing with right now, with things like social media, just the comparisons, there's so much envy, and that's also another sign of this infiltration. And of course, envy is really connected to that worth wound, to that notion that we are unloved, that we are unlovable. And this is the core wound. This is the core wound. So much like we hold the core essence of our soul, the Archons hold this core wound. And so we can actually learn a lot by overcoming their matrix, their clutches. And this is why a lot of the Gnostics said, actually, that they're like our greatest teacher. It's like a teacher actually once told me, I think it was Joseph Campbell even who wrote this, that Luke Skywalker would not have become the great Jedi that he is if there hadn't been the adversity of Darth Vader. And when you look at the ancient mystery schools, these incredible spiritual universities that produce so many incredible luminaries, just beautiful human beings, highly intelligent, sagacious, strong mentally in mind, body, soul, like true titans, heroic human beings. This is because they dealt with this. They faced into this adversity, this trauma. And this is all of our destiny right now, because we are actually existing in the age where we're getting like this huge support. You can think of like a cartoon with like a human being in a wrestling ring with this big reptilian monstrous entity, and there's like God, Goddess, Creator outside the ring, like reaching a hand in to tag in. But we've got to reach in and tag back. And that's the essence of the work right now. And that is why this spiritual awakening is happening, because we're being enthused as this global control matrix is also heightening itself, and it's becoming kind of daunting, right? You look around, you're like, my God, this is crazy. Like Neuralink and putting brain chips in brains, and like this stuff is actually happening. But on the other side, there is this incredible awakening of human consciousness and interest in the spiritual arts. And it's clumsy, you know, some of it is being co-opted by capitalist instincts of greed and other kind of sinful things, lust, gluttony. But there is something very pure happening there as well. And there are very pure pathways opening up right now to an accelerated evolution, an accelerated journey into true soulness, soul power. And this is amazing when you feel into this, when you sense this, before all the doom and the gloom. You realize we're like in that movie, you know, where that climactic moment is happening where all seems lost and the powers that be seem to have gained this kind of absolute upper hand. And we're at that point in the movie where like this amazing music starts to kick in and this like incredible force comes into the hero to help them overcome the odds, these great odds, you know, like David before Goliath. And that's the moment that we've incarnated in. So, I mean, it's so wonderful to be alive in this time and to see this great upheaval, this great rebellion and revolution of spiritual consciousness. And it is our destiny. It's been prophesied, it's been written that it is our destiny to overcome this archontic tyranny. So it doesn't mean we can sit idly by and just watch the show. I mean, it's up to you. If you want to, you can, but I would suggest that wouldn't be as fulfilling. I mean, why not just jump into things and go for it and spend your days like really doing the work, the spiritual work, and really upgrading yourself, and then being able to witness the beauty of the soul as it starts to come more and more online in this physical incarnation. I mean, there's nothing more beautiful that I've experienced in my life than being deeply devoted to spiritual practice and witnessing the changes. And it's not easy. The Archons are very cunning, and we exist in their world, in the sense that the world has been kind of superimposed on Gaia. And we needn't be afraid, but we should give them a certain amount of respect. It's like going into any kind of like sport. You know, if you're going to play in like a Champions League final against this incredible opposition, this incredible team, you've got to take them seriously. You can't just go in assuming that you can just rely on your natural talent alone. You have to have a game plan. You have to have a strategy. You have to have discipline. And this is the greatest discipline, the greatest adversity that we're ever going to face in our life. So we might as well bring all that we've got to that fore and tag in the divine through our spiritual practices, plugging into that divine mind through meditation and presence, so that we can always be in access of that greater intelligence that is far, far, far beyond the bandwidth of the frequency identity of the Archons. And that's our main advantage. And so when you look around now, we live in a reality of absolute distraction. And I know the irony of saying this to you as I have this, I'm shooting this video for you to watch on your computer, on your phone, on your TV. But on the other hand, we also live in a time where that living library, that Library of Alexandria that was burned down, which is probably the greatest library that's ever existed on the planet. The internet has created, it is part of this kind of Christic consciousness returning to the planet, of this God goddess comeback. The internet was a huge component of that, because this technology, as much as there's a lot of darkness in that technology, there's a lot of beautiful opportunities. And one of the biggest is that it's actually liberated so much knowledge, so much wisdom. And that's an amazing thing, because now we have so much access. It's almost like, I like to say that it feels like the whole planet has become like a mystery school, in a sense. But within that, we have to acknowledge that the Archons are very aware of this. So they're putting all their chips in right now. So they're trying to co-opt everything. They're trying to co-opt the technology and use it to distract us with things like social media, with the endless scrolling and endless entertainment and pornography and all these things. This is all part of trying to control humanity through distraction, because at the end of the day, the true energy of your soul, the currency that really fills up your soul, that really gets you engaged with your soul and the divine, is your attention. And that's why the battle is happening within yourself. And so we have to see that, and we have to own that. If we start projecting this outside of ourselves, which is what a lot of religions fall into, they see it all as something outside of ourselves. We have to realize the Archons are already within us. There's already beliefs that we have, this whole egoic identity, this over-identification with the ego. That's one of the archontic programs. They've cut us off from this sense of the divine. They've annihilated. They made us just as insane as they are, and we killed a lot of our own mystical branches of human culture. They've got us to do their bidding. They've got us possessed to the point where we started to destroy the beautiful, the good, and the true aspects and cultures in us. And that's led us into this very vulnerable state of deficit, where we've been the Dark Ages, really, where we've been so far removed from any sense of the divine. And now they hand us all these technologies, and they just easily distract us, because none of us have a sense that there is something divine in our world. If we trust what we've been educated with materialism and materialist science, there is no God. There is just a secular world. And that is a brutality on the level of our soul that we've had to endure. And yet now we get to exist in this great time of the great divine comeback. And that's why I really, really tune in. It's important to be aware of the Archons, but the majority of our awareness should be with the divine. We should be spending loads of time in meditation and prayer and that connection, infusing ourselves with that connection. Because the more you do, the more you will feel what is actually happening on the planet right now at its essence. And it isn't this AI control grid matrix that's going to decimate all of humanity. It isn't that doom gloom story. What's really, really happening is this beautiful divine resurgence, this beautiful comeback of the divine. So make sure you're spending your days really in that beautiful intentions, that beautiful prayers, meditation, connecting to the divine, and get in touch with that joy. That's why we need to turn off the news. And I love to delve into the conspiracies just to get a sense of what's going on with their agenda. I'll leave it there, everyone. We'll have much more to share, but sending you all lots of blessings.